you.
Reb Aaron.
Yeah, I'll tell her. If it's you, I'll tell her.
I'm not letting you or your wife come visit me.
Okay. Okay.
When he comes by for a mysterious walk on Shabbos, I wouldn't let him in either.
Was this taped or not?
Yeah, I think so. Where is everybody? I don't understand. Something going on tonight?
Yesterday's
started
daf
early.
scared
Yeah,
him
Rabbi
off.
Rabbi YY's in the white shul.
Oh, that's
Yeah, I don't think that's why nobody's here. Reb Aaron.
Oh, well,
I
Okay.
think, Tiago, I think what happened.
Jay-Z is invited guys to his club today.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Now you're talking.
Aaron knows what's happening.
I think
What's
a
that
lot
going
of.
That's tonight?
I think a lot of the women were listening in on the daf and now answered it.
Okay. I hear it.
I forgot I have this math app. I can do all my math.
I hear you. Okay, well, I guess we're gonna start. We have a minion, right? Okay, so we left off with Ben Sira. Right, where is it? Samach Gimel Amud Beis. Yeah. Two of the wide lines up. About 15 lines up from the bottom. Kasav Ben the Sefer Ben Sira. Yeah, so Ben Sira was that fellow who it's debatable. Some of the things he wrote was borderline up because there's some things not, but he was officially born from Zerah in the bathhouse, Ben Sira, which is an interesting segue because that's the next sugya after this. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Kasav B'Sefer Ben Sira. So he had a whole bunch of sayings. Isha Taiva.
Did he know who his father was, or he didn't even know who his father was?
I don't think he knew. I don't think he knew, but I don't know. So Isha Taiva.
Where is it, Reb Yaakov?
About the Samakim Amud Beis.
Yeah.
The widest lines, 2 lines up from that. Right at the end of the Rashi's. Right where Rashi ends.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So Kasav B'Sefer Ben Sira. Isha Taiva Matana Taiva. A good wife is a good present. Right. The next few words is debatable whether it should be said, so we'll skip it. Yeah.
We're focusing on all these women. Do we ever have anything about men?
When the women learn Shas, then they'll have a whole thing about men. No,
In some institutions they do.
This is a men's club here. This
okay,
Shas.
fine. Okay.
I think the pshat is because the man is purchasing the wife. So Mamela, we're trying to figure out if he has a good purchase or not. That's what I think.
Let's make sure he gets his money's worth, Tiago.
Yeah, I don't know if that's gonna fly either, Bisman Azeh, but that's essentially what it is. Anyway, so that's one thing he said. We give her into the chayk to a hug, basically, from like you hug with a yorei lekim. Yeah. So isha ra tzaras labayla. A bad woman is like tzaras to her husband. Ma'ita kante. What is he supposed to do? Yigashena to yisrava mitzarasa. So the same with tzaras, you cut it out. So if you have a bad wife, so you divorce her. Isha yafa ashrei bayla. A pretty woman, praised is the husband who has a pretty woman, because mispar yamav kiflayim, the days his days are like doubled, which is a very interesting Rashi here. What does this mean? Rashi about 15 lines up says that sameach. Why does he have a double life? Meaning it's like as if he's living double the time. Since he has a pretty wife, so he's happy with his portion, and as if he's living. His days, every day is considered doubled, right? So that means if you're happy, if you're sameach b'chelka, it's as if you're living double the time of somebody else, right? That's a mussar right there. Yeah.
Isn't somebody supposed to be happy always?
Yes, but he's saying, but if somebody has a good wife, so then he's going to be happy. Mamela. He's gonna be like a double. He's leading a double life. Not leading a double life. That's not. Hopefully, he's not doing that. it's as if he's living twice, right? Fine. So you have to keep your eyes hidden from a Eishes Chen, Penti Lokib Mitzudasa, because if you have these women, so you might get caught in their trap. Al Tat Eitzel Baila, and don't go to her husband, Limsoich Ima Yain B'Shecher, to drink with him wine and beer. Ki Besavar Isha Yafa Rabam Hushchusu. Many pretty women have destroyed people, right? Which we know, right? Many men have made mistakes, right? And mistakes that ruin their lives. Batsumim kol harugim, and she has many people that she killed, right? So pretty woman could be a disaster. Rabam hayu pitzei roichel.
But it's to marry one.
Yes, but not if your friend's wife.
Okay.
Yes, so Rabam hayu pitzei roichel. There were many pitzayim. Petza is literally means like a cut from roichel. A roichel is the people that go around. Rashi says they sell, right, from the word rechilas. They go around selling perfumes and these types of things. Why? Hamargilim lidvar avera, because they're margil to dvar avera. Why? Kenitzutz mavir kachelas, like a spark that lights up a coal. The coal of mole oif, like a chicken coop with birds in it. Cain batayim alayim mirma, so their houses are also full of lies. Right? Meaning, because these reichlim are constantly around women, so memela, they end up being promiscuous, right? Yeah, so that's fine. Even though it's interesting because they were masakin that they should go around. The reichlim should go around towns to provide perfumes and all these things, so that the women will look good for their husbands. I was like a takonas chachamim that these guys have to go around, right? Anyways, okay. So it's a risky position. Fine. I'll talk.
Very fair to understand.
What? Why they?
This whole concept, showing off, that whole thing.
It's not really showing off. It's just telling that the guy. It's just saying that a guy who's got business with women has to be very careful.
So man's not allowed to deal with women's stuff, jewelry.
He's allowed to. There are stricter halachas for yichud. Right?
Is a man allowed to deal in jewelry with women? Is a man allowed to deal?
Yeah. Yes.
You're allowed to, yes, but you have to be careful.
I understand, but it makes it sound like he's
It makes it sound like it's frowned upon, that you shouldn't really do it because it's a tough thing to do.
Yeah, it is. You got to be careful. I listen. I don't know. I was asked to teach in a girls' school a couple of weeks ago, and nope.
Zevi had that years ago. They asked them also. He said, Zevi, you're 50? I thought you were like 35. You're mamish 50 already? I can't believe it.
Right. Yeah. That's I'm almost 50, but
But he didn't.
I ain't doing it. I am not doing it.
All right, how
Anyways.
come nobody asked us to teach in a girls' school?
because they know you'll say yeah.
I got asked to work in this girls' school, not teach.
Yeah. Anyways, fine. So al totzar tzoras mochar. Don't be. Oh, so this is also. My wife was doing this tonight by supper, worrying about next year. I said, no, tonight's daf, even though it was really yesterday's daf. But this is what it says, right? Al totzar tzoras mochar. Don't have tsar from the tzara of tomorrow. You don't know what's going to be born that day. That's the literal translation. Shema mochar because tomorrow will come, and you're not going to be there, right? Meaning the person's not going to be alive. So why are you busy worried about what's going to be next year? You might not even be around to deal with it.
I mean, that would make me a little more nervous now because, I got to worry about what happens to my family if I'm not around. That's going to help the situation. That's going to help the situation here?
Right, it's not exactly. That's what it's saying. It's not going to help the situation, so don't worry about it.
No, he's saying.
I don't know.
Saying that. That's not what he's saying.
What do you mean?
He's saying if I'm not around, we worry more. I have to make sure my family's sick.
What's
I'm
it going
saying
to
that
help?
doesn't.
Right, I agree with you. I understand what you're saying.
No, if you're going to do something today, let's say buy a life insurance policy. Okay, so you did something tangible today that will take care of it. To stam stress out about it, what's the point?
Okay, you have to do your status.
Oh, hishtadlus, yes, but not to stam stress out. If you have no way of knowing what's going to be in a year from now, so what's the point? What's the point of getting stressed out? Right. Anyways, nimtzah mitzstar ala olam shein shaloyim. That sounds like you're being mitzstar on a world that's not you. That's not for you. It's not your world. So what are you going to go stressed out? Fine. Mona ram v'toich beisa, and keep the public away from your house. You hear, Naftali? Yeah. It says keep the public away from your house. There you go.
So
This is pro Zoom. This is pro Zoom.
This is 100% pro Zoom with the cameras off. But I don't know. Right? And don't bring everybody into the house.
Public.
Rabim Yiyu Darshe Shlemecha. There's many people that are going to ask how you're doing. But don't tell the secret only to 1 in 1,000. Meaning, you have friends, but don't go around telling everybody all your business. Fine. We had this already, right? That Ben David's not coming, Mashiach's not coming until all the neshamas in the guf are out. Anybody who's not Isaac and Pru Ravu, Kilu Shayfech Damim is as if he's spilling blood. Why? Shenemar Shayfech Dam Adam Ba'adam Dam Yishafech. Whoever spills the blood of a person, then he's going to have his blood spilled. Ksiv Basrei Ba'atem Pru Ravu, and you should multiply. So meaning, if you're not Isaac and Pru Ravu, then that's a bad thing. Now Isaac and Pru Ravu can mean a lot of things. It can be obviously getting married and having children. It could also be being involved in shidduchim, right? That's we said already from Chaim Kanievsky that he felt that everybody has to be very involved in that. Yaakov Aimer Ki'ilu Mamayet Hadmus. I don't know exactly what this means. It's if you're going to do that, it's as if you're going to make the face of Hashem, I guess, smaller. Shenemar Kivitzalam Elkim Osas Adam. Hashem made man as a tzelem elikim uksib basrei va'atem pruruvu. So by not multiplying, so you somehow shrinking the tzelem, a tzelem elikim. Fine. Then one of the more famous gemaras in Shas. Ben Azai Omer, kilu shayfich damim umayet hadmus. Same thing. If you're not Isaac and pruruvu, as if you're spilling blood and you're making the tzelem elikim smaller. Shenemar va'atem pruruvu. So Ben Azai said the statement. So they said to Ben Azai, Yeshna Doirish. Sometimes you have people who can darshan very well, but no Mekayim, and they're meaning they practice what they preach, right? Where actions speak louder than words. So they do both. No Mekayim, ve no Doirish. You have some people that do well, but they don't preach well. But you, Noah, Dairish, you speak very well. But you're not Mekayim anything. Why? Because Ben Azai was never married. Well, it's a Machlokes whether he was married, but he never had kids, and either he was married and got divorced, or got engaged and broke it up. But he had no interest in getting married. So Ben Azai said, "Then what should I do? My soul desires Torah, so therefore I'm not getting married." The world can be going through others, meaning let everybody else have kids. Keep the world going. I'm going to learn.
Didn't we say before it was here?
Yeah, so you have to say that he knew that he didn't have hair. That's what you have to say. You have to say that he had hair. He did not have hair. I'm sorry.
He didn't have the Yitzchak.
Correct. If he had the Yitzchak, then he would have to get married.
I think that's why it says shenafshi chashka b'Torah, not shecheshki b'Torah.
Well, because his nefesh is chashka.
His whole nefesh. There was nothing but Torah.
Not here.
As opposed to neshama. Neshama we know wants Torah. Nefesh is the not Nefesh Bahamas.
Right.
Even that wants Torah. There's nothing else.
I hear. Okay, so that's what you have to say is pshat. It's as if he spills blood. It says if you spill the blood of a person, fine. Repeats. Fine. The Gemara is just repeating itself, meaning it's just a different Tana who's saying it. Fine. Tana Rabbanan on the last line. Right? So Venuchai, when you're resting, say Shuva Hashem Rivos of Israel. Hashem should it's just talking about when the Aron stopped. So you'd say everybody should relax with Hashem, with thousands of people. So now the Gemara on Amud Aleph now. This says what's the count? The shechina doesn't rest on less than 22,000 people in Klal Yisrael. Shnei alafim is 2,000, and a revava is a 10,000. So it's 2 10,000s plus 2 thousands, right? So you see from the pasuk that the shechina only rests on 22,000. So if you have Klal Yisrael, that's 22,000 minus 1. And the reason why you're missing 1 is because you decided not to have a kid. Isn't that going to cause it that you made the shechina?
Well, it's 22,000 people where?
I'm not sure. I think in one place maybe.
What do you mean a million as a shechina?
Oh, so that's a kasha, right? Because it's a stomach kasha. In others it says a million, and then it says 2, and then it says 5, or whatever the numbers are over there.
If there's
right?
2 people learning Torah, does the shechina?
Yes. So I think one of the truths when they say is that there's different levels of shechina, right? So meaning the shechina very close to the shechina, or a little further away. You're in the presence of the shechina. I don't know.
So what?
Yeah.
How does it know that it's because somebody didn't have a kid? Maybe a guy went to get a pizza. So there's 21,999, but he is Sifa, and one guy went to get a pizza.
So you got to tell him. Get off the line, get off the pizza line, and get back here. I guess. I don't know. All these shechina things. I don't want to sound like a cynic, but
okay,
but I tell you, I don't understand. If you explain to me what the shechina is, I'll explain to you the 22,000. How's that a deal?
Why is the number 22,000, not 20 million?
I have no idea. You think 600,000, right? You think something.
No, it should be 20 million. The number in this pasuk is 20 million.
Oh, I mean, because it goes the way
20,000 times, 40 million. 20,000 times 2,000.
Because you river voice Alpha Yisrael.
Yeah, the river voice is going on the Alpha, not river voice the Alpha Yisrael.
So then what does it be that you're saying somebody didn't do it because he didn't have a kid? There's never been 40 million Yidden around. So what?
Right. I mean,
so what's that to do with a guy not having a kid, a guy not getting married?
How are you getting 40 million?
20,000. River voice is 20,000.
Right.
Times 2,000.
No, why are you saying multiply?
It's 20,000 of 1,000.
You're saying do multiplication. Who says? Maybe it's addition. I mean,
because
it is
river
addition.
voice is going on the Alpha. It's responding to Alpha.
Clearly,
I'm starting with 2,000.
You're saying it's 2,000 times 20,000.
That's how the type goes.
I am not so sure. Shnei Allah, how do you count Sfira?
Shloisha Aser.
And who is N?
Shloisha Ve'esrim. Shloisha Esrim is 60.
Shloisha Esrim. I don't know.
Shloisha ve'esrim.
I don't know.
23.
I'm not sure. I don't know how you can. I mean, clearly we're learning that it's addition, not multiplication, but I have no idea in the dictum.
If I wanted to say addition, I would say Rivivois ve'alfa Yisrael. Tens of thousands and thousands of Yisrael.
Maybe. Okay, I'm not sure. Okay, I take your word for it. But the Gemara is the kasha on what you're saying. I hear. Or you're saying it's a kasha that it shouldn't be. Okay, so it was an interesting thing. So the guy, see, we're basically.
So we only have the shechina about like the Siyam Hashas?
No, because there's other types of shechinas too. This is one particular type of shechinas.
So we had a different shechina at the Siyam Hashas.
I guess we had a different shechinas at the Siyam Hashas. Yes.
Well,
Right.
you had more than 22,000 people.
That's what I'm
Right,
saying.
he's saying there must be a different level of shechina.
When do we have 22,000? We have it at the Siyam, at the Sifa. We had it, not too often.
Next week in Monroe.
Like right?
What do you call it? But what?
Generally,
so
Pruruvu shouldn't be happening by these Asifas.
that's true, but they would have had more had you had kids. Basically, this is the classic put the guilt trip onto the guy. We would have had 22,000 had you had your kid, right?
Some Cholamoid places felt like it had that many people.
Fair enough. You're wondering you're wondering the people should have learned this. Want to say we got plenty. Okay, stop having kids. Is that what you're saying? Okay, I don't know. Anyways, weiter. So Abba Chanan Amar B'Shem Rabbi Eliezer Chayev Misa. So what is Chayev Misa? Shenemar Ubanim Lehayu Lahem, and they didn't have kids. Meaning, this is talking about Nadav and Avihu when they died. It says they didn't not have kids. Hahayu Lahem Banim. If they would have had kids, like Mesa, they wouldn't have died. Okay, that's the Rebbe Alachman. Is he on? I don't know. This is his department. Right? I don't know what does that mean. They wouldn't have been if they did something wrong. I'm here. Saying that saying that Nadav and Avihu had, if they would have had kids, so then they wouldn't have died. They would not have died. Saying, did they do something wrong? They didn't do something wrong.
They would have had a plus that would have.
They did, but they would have had to stay alive for the sake of their children.
I guess. But
they did something wrong, but for their children, they would have stayed alive.
Yeah, that's, by the way, some poskim with the life insurance, because you were talking about that before, David. Some poskim say, if you have life insurance, there's no reason Hashem needs the person alive anymore, right?
Is all I'm good for is money?
Well, that's one of the main things. You just said it. The father has to be
I'm
alive
saying,
for
but
the
what
kids.
about being a parent? What about actually like
That's true. That's true.
And being
but
a parent, which
that's
maybe
true,
we're not good at, but I'm just saying,
That's
I'm
true.
not,
But one of the main things is that you have to be there for the kids, for money. So if their kids have money, so Hashem says, okay, yeah, then I don't need you. Fine. You're going to cause the shechina to go away. Fine. When the zaracha after you, the shechina shaira ain't zaracha acharecha, al mi shaira. Who's it rest? Al eitzim alavanim. It's just going to go on eitzim and avanim. On our question, al eitzim alavanim. Who should the shechina go on? I mean, if you don't have children, then the shechina has nothing to rest on. So then you're causing the shechina to go away from Klal Yisrael. Okay. Bottom line is it's important to have children. That's the bottom line. Fine. Now we go. Next Mishna, yeah. Says there's some lumdus in this sugya, this next sugya. So Nasa Isha, if a person marries a woman, and he keeps with her for 10 years, below Yolda, and he does not have a child, Eina Rishai Levatel, he's not allowed to be Mevatel from Pruruvu, meaning he can't throw in the towel and say, I'm married 10 years, I don't have a kid, okay, shine, that's it. He has to, Rashi says, either he has to divorce his wife or he has to marry a second wife. Right? Now, the interesting thing with this, what's the problem?
Divorce?
Well, that's all, yeah. He needs to, he needs to do a mitzvah. You don't have a mitzvah to do after the Reach Kamaycha.
What do you mean, with your wife?
Yeah.
There's no mitzvah.
What do you mean? You're not getting the mitzvah pruvu. You need to do the mitzvah
So
pruvu.
He could do it.
What-
He
what
could do
about-
that mitzvah without being married. He could do v'hafta l'reacha kamocha without being married.
It doesn't mean, but a person has a chiyuv after he comes to his wife, no?
Yes, but not when it comes out that he can't do mitzvahs from the Torah because of her.
Maybe he's an Ailonis.
But the Gemara is saying not. He has to be proactive, not.
So I'm asking you, why not?
Why? Because doesn't replace doing mitzvahs.
It doesn't mean that he has to be married to her. He could be v'hafta l'reacha kamocha without being
Well,
married.
he's saying
to
that
her.
marriage would be v'hafta l'reacha kamocha.
No, I thought he's
That's
saying about the
marriage,
sunny luck.
No.
He's saying about the sunny luck. Divorcing her is throwing her to the curb. That's
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
yeah. Not
Right.
that he has to stay married.
Well, so
because
maybe that's
of-
why Rashi says to marry another wife.
I
Marry
think
another
it's
wife.
I think it's
That's also
fakert.
not right.
I think Rashi says the first one, Oye Garshena, that is to be Mekayim v'afta l'recha kamocha. There was no Rabbeinu Gershon then. There was no need to do this.
First of all,
To
there
him,
was-
mitzad
I think
him
there was
it
Rabbeinu
wasn't,
Gershon.
because he can have two wives, but what about her? She's under the bus now.
The
No,
next
that's
line
the
of the
point.
Mishnah says that she could go marry somebody else.
She can get married. She could also get married.
Right.
That we're going to see in the Gemara. It's the Machlokes whether whose fault it is.
Well, I think there's another. She might be hurt more by staying married to him, having to look at his other wife having kids.
That could be too. That
So
could be
get
too.
divorced and then marry someone else.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
not.
we're
It's
gonna
not
see.
really an oy in this case. It's not a choice. Either way, it's yisa acheres. The question if it's ima or not.
Correct.
I think that's gufa.
Yes,
The Garshena
100%.
is to
He
be
has to
Mekayim
get married. He has a mitzvah. Correct. He has a mitzvah to have kids, and Mamela, he has to get married to
Let's say
somebody
it's
else.
her- Let's say it's her. Let's say it's her. So it's not an Ailonis on him.
No, because get married to somebody else. That's the way it goes. I mean, there's a different kasha, Lamdish kasha. I forgot who it was from. I heard it on the 7-minute the Ian man. He said, "How we know that to become a mitzvah deraisa, you only have to spend a fifth of your money, right? So to divorce your wife who you like, I'm saying if you don't like her is one thing, but if you like her, you mechuyev to divorce her. That's a little much. That's more than a fifth.
What, to give her a ksubi, you mean?
What either ksuba or stam to ruin your life.
What do you, according to you, what are you ruling?
You're happily married. You're
Right,
happily married.
exactly. That's my point.
No, but that's he's asking from a different thing than you. Yeah, this is not an emotional thing. He's just saying you're not mechuyev. There's only so far you're mechuyev to go do a mitzvah deraisa. You're not mechuyev to spend more than a fifth of your money. Right? And the same thing if your one is not well. Okay, whatever it is, it's a big sugya here. But anyway, so he's got to do something about it. But by the way, we don't do this anymore. You ever heard of anybody doing this anymore? No, we don't do this anymore. Because of it's not clear why we don't do this anymore, but we don't do it anymore.
What,
Right.
divorce and marry somebody else?
Yeah. No, we're not
You
mechayev.
could run over to the white shul and ask Rabbi why the Rebbe didn't get divorced.
Right. Yeah. Like a lot of gedolim. A lot of gedolim. We don't do it anymore because it seems like it's going to cause a tumult and politics and this and that. Okay, society's changed, but it's interesting because there's no, and the halacha seems to be that the guy has to go try and find another way to have kids. Fine. Girsha.
So if
let's say-
someone's not able to have kids, is there any chance they're Makayim the mitzvah of Puravu if they adopt?
I don't think so from that. I mean, you get sort of some of the mitzvah like it, but you don't get a full mitzvah like that, because the main thing is to bring the kids into the
They can
world.
adopt that ger is from 4 blood ago. They can adopt his goyish kids.
Maybe if you bring them to be Yidden, I don't know.
Listen, there's plenty of Jewish kids that need it as well.
That's true. That is true. Yeah. Okay. So Girsha.
But they're already called after their natural father, who was a Yid. So
yeah. Okay. No, I don't know. So Girsha, let's say he does divorce her. She's allowed to get married. She's allowed to get married to somebody else. Meaning, what's the chiddush? Because we're not gonna think that she is the problem, right? So therefore, we're not gonna think she's the problem. So she's allowed to get married. And the second one can also stay with her for 10 years. Meaning, you might think, okay, so she was married to one fellow for 10 years, didn't have kids. Now she's married to this other guy for 6 years. I'm throwing out a number. So the guy, okay, 1 + 1 = 2. I don't know with my math or Gershon's math, but 1 + 1 = 2. The chayra, this lady can't have kids, so why wait 10 years, right? Once you see that she's not with this, she's not, the second guy should have to divorce her. We say, no, he's allowed to stay with her for 10 years. Pila, and let's say she had a miscarriage, then Maina Mishas Shapila, then the 10-year count starts when you ended a miscarriage, right? Because maybe she was able to get pregnant and then not.
The Gemara is saying they know it's from the lady, not from the man.
No, we don't know. We don't know.
So then, so
Meaning, it's an interesting thing because this Gemara, like David was saying before, it's totally tilted in the man's direction. Seemingly in the Mishnah, it seems like she's the issue. Push it, yeah, let him get married, and he'll have a kid with some. Meaning, she's the problem. Meaning, male infertility doesn't seem to at least in the Mishnah, doesn't seem to be entertained by the Mishnah. It just seems to be like, oh, it's the woman's geschäft. She gets pregnant. She has the baby. If she doesn't get pregnant, it's her issue. Right? That's what it seems. And that's what the Gemara is saying. Oh, so even though it's her issue, she's still allowed to get married.
It's
What?
his chiyuv.
It's his chiyuv, but the issue, the medical issue, the Gemara seems to be saying the medical issue is with her.
Why?
Well, that's where the Mishnah opens up. Below Yoldash, she didn't have a child.
Correct.
It's not they didn't have a child.
What
Right.
do you mean? She's the one who has the child.
Correct. And since she did not have a child for 10 years, there's something wrong with her.
Who
That's the
said there's
assumption.
something wrong with her?
Because
He
the
didn't have
Mishnah says he should go marry somebody else.
you know.
And then the Mishnah says another chiddush that she's allowed to marry somebody else. What do you? She should be allowed to marry somebody else the same way he's allowed to marry somebody else, right? So that's clearly that way. But then we'll see in the Gemara. And Zog the Gemara, Tana Rabbanan. Nasa Isha B'Shah Ima Esther Shanim. If he married a woman, he stayed with her for 10 years, V'lo Yalda, and she didn't give birth, Yaitziv Yitin Ksuba, he divorces her, but he has to give her the Ksuba. Right? Now, this Gemara doesn't say that he can marry somebody else. This Gemara says they have to get divorced. Right? Okay, but that's what the Bryce is saying. Why? Maybe he is not Zoicha to have kids from her. Right? Again, it's mashma, like there's no thought in the world that the issue is with him. Right?
That's not the touch of this.
What?
This could be touched either way.
I mean,
The fault is with him. He needed to try harder. He picked her. She's the wrong one to pick.
Wait a minute, but it
So
sounds
his zera will be mazriya by her.
like
Not because it's her fault. There's no
that
fault.
doesn't mean that it's her fault. Yeah, okay, yeah, you're right. There's two ways. There is two ways. There are two ways to learn it. Correct. I hear. So I will be saying raya l'davar, even though there's no raya to davar, zeicher l'davar, there's a zeicher that you wait 10 years because it says Miketz Esher Shanim l'shevas Avrohom be'eretz Canaan. When Avrohom and Sarah went eretz Canaan for 10 years, so then that's when Avrohom went and took what's her name, Hagar, right? After he was in Eretz Yisrael for 10 years. When they were married in Chutz La'aretz, it did not count towards the 10 years, right? Which is interesting because then how come people that don't have kids don't move to Eretz Yisrael, and maybe Eretz Yisrael will help them have kids?
But Chaim told somebody to do it. Don't you?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Now, did it work?
So,
yeah, Shmuel. I asked Shmuel the same thing this morning, and he said the same as Zev just said. Yeah,
But that they should go to Eretz Yisrael.
yeah. I say if the one.
But he said it. But he said it worked.
Yeah, I'm saying he said it.
Yeah,
worked.
he said it worked.
no, this person didn't end up staying. I don't know why.
We didn't stay. Okay, we're
What?
saying then. Okay, if they didn't stay, they didn't stay. Anyways, lefikach chalahu ashachal sahi. If he's sick or she got sick, both of them are in jail. That does not count towards the 10 years, because so there's different ways to learn this also. What does that mean? Because they weren't together, meaning you need to be able to have intimacy for 10 years for it not to work, right? And but if they weren't able to because they're both in jail or he was sick, it's interesting. It doesn't say anything about him traveling. Let's say he's a businessman and he's gone for half the year, 3/4 of the year. So maybe you have to wait more than 10 years. Doesn't seem to say that. So the shaila is exactly what is together here. Does it mean that they have to have the ability to be together? What?
An Ailonis. He's an Ailonis and he can't. He's
No,
sick.
but does a camel driver get 100 years? Because he's only supposed to do what? What's every 6 months?
Correct.
No, this
Right.
when a person's an Ailonis, he's sick or basically soon. But if a person's stam away, that's his. He chose to be away.
I mean, it's not an external force. That's what
Right.
Yitzchak was saying.
Maybe, okay, but that could be. Now what? Good. So let's say the couple's on birth control.
Yeah, then what? What do you say?
So l'chayra, the 10 years goes from when they weren't on birth control. Right? Unfortunately, nowadays, many couples are asking for a terim to be on birth control right after they get married. Right? It is what it is, as they say. Right? But I could tell you there's quite a few couples that I am dealing with that I'm close to, and they were on birth control for the first while of their marriages. And now they're having difficulty having kids. I'm not saying because of the birth control. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that
You're asking when does the clock start?
correct. So the clock has to start. At least what I'm saying is the clock has to start after the birth control. Zev saying no, that was voluntary. It was voluntarily they did it. So then,
But nowadays we're not knowing this anyway, so it doesn't really make a
true.
difference.
No, it's true. But the 100% that's true. But I mean, if somebody wanted to be knowing this, I think we would let him. Right? If a guy says he wants to divorce his wife, we would say, "Oh, that's that." I don't think we would stop him. Right? Okay, so let's see. So Amrle Rav Nachman. Rav said to Rav Nachman, "Leila mi Yitzchak. Why are you learning from Avram? Why don't you learn from Yitzchak? Yitzchak ben Abayim shana bekaftes Rivka. Yitzchak was 40 years when he took Rivka. Uksiv Yitzchak ben Shishim shana beledesesam. And Yitzchak was 60 when the kids were born. Right? So why don't you say you have to wait 20 years based on Yitzchak because he got married at 40?
She was 3 years old.
Oh, very good. She was 3 years old, so the first 10 years shouldn't count, right? So what does Taisus say on this? This bottom Taisus, Elamai, she was 12, not 3. There we go. Yes, we had that right. So yeah, this busts the bubble of everybody, right? Taisus, the small, where is it? The Leil of Yitzchak, second Taisus up in the bottom. Again, Taisus says, you see that there's conflicting midrashim, how old Rivka was. This Gemara, this is the second Gemara we had already this week, that Rivka was 12, not 3.
Okay, but even so, how many years is that?
No, because if she was 3, then first of all, Taisus also says the teretz that back then the Metzias changed. Back then the Metzias changed, and women could have babies under the age of 12. Right? No,
but even 12 it would be 11 years.
They can have babies now under the age of 12.
Right. So that's the problem. The Metzias keeps changing. Right.
But even so, she was 3, right? It's 9 years.
Okay, so it's 1 year off. It's not 20.
Okay, but that's.
So we could say mixas ashana kakula. We'll have terutzim for that. Right. Anyway, so Amarle Yitzchak Akur Haya, big chiddush. See, now already this is the first part we start seeing that maybe the man was the issue. Now we say Yitzchak was an Akara is a woman who can't have a baby, so Yitzchak couldn't have kids. So if that's the case, Avrohom Nami Akur Haya. Avrohom was also.
Why?
The Gemara is going to say weiter that he was, right? So then you can't prove. Meaning you're trying to say you can't prove anything from Yitzchak because Yitzchak was the problem. So we're saying Avrohom also had a problem.
This L'chayra means that Yitzchak and Avram knew that they were Akarim. They knew that they had an issue.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's no answer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what you have to say. Anyways, so we buy like Reb Chia bar Abba. So we need it for Reb Chia bar Abba. Don't Reb Chia bar Abba Amar Yochanan, Lama Nimnu Shnoisav Shel Yishmael. Why did they count the years of Yishmael? Meaning, what the Torah goes with the life of Yishmael, who was not a good guy. So why is the Torah going through how old he was? In order to be meyachis how old Yaakov was, because you had the discrepancy of the 14 years when he was in Yeshiva Shem Ve'eva, right? That doesn't fit. So we have to figure out for those 14 years. So based on Yishmael's age, that's how we figure out what was going on with Yaakov's years and those 14 years that he didn't get punished because he was learning in Shem Ve'eva. And that's what we learn out, that Talmud Torah is Daicha Kibbut Avayim. Right?
There's a Rashi that explains it on the side there.
Which one are you talking about? The Ma'aseh Rashi or the regular Rashi?
Regular
Rashi discusses.
no,
Rashi goes through it.
The kids. The Talmud Torah that doesn't count in the count.
That's how we learn out. Many fights between children and parents based on this thing. The Talmud Torah is Daicha Kibbut Avei. Yeah. Okay. So Amar Rabbi Yitzchak. Yitzchak Avinu Akar Haya. Yitzchak Avinu was a Akar. Shenemar Vayeser Yitzchak Lashem L'Noicha Chishtoi. So Yitzchak davened to Hashem opposite his wife. Al Ishtoi Lo Nemar doesn't say he davened for his wife. Ela L'Noichach, right? Opposite him. Melamit Shneim Akurim Haya, that teaches us they both had infertility issues. Right? Ihachi Vayeta Loi Vayeta Lahemi Baile. I can't say I fully understand this kasha. It says Vayeta Loi. Said he davened by him. Vayeta lahem. It should be he davened by them, meaning he was davening for both. I don't understand why loy can't be for him and his wife. Right? Okay, but it seems like not. Lafisha ain't a daima tefilos tzadik and tzadik. Tefilos tzadik and Rasha. Right? Rashi brings this in Chumash, right? Because it's not daima the tefillah of a tzadik from ben tzadik to a tzadik ben Rasha. So obviously, so Rivka was the daughter of Besuel, so she did not have the yichus that Yitzchak did. Fine. So I'm Yitzchak.
You know, we have a Gemara that about Shuvas Tefillah is better.
Oh, good.
Did we have that? Yeah, but I don't know if that means. Yeah, but does that mean that doesn't mean the tefilos? That just means that they're a higher level. No. So he's saying if they're a higher level, then the tefilos should be accepted. I don't know.
What makes about Tshuva Tzadik ben Rasha? About Tshuva was someone who was a Rasha ben Tzadik. Now he's a Tzadik ben Tzadik.
Okay, I hear. Maybe. I don't know. So Amar Yitzchak, right? Now this is a shver. This is another reason to quote the great sage Avi Sontag and say, "Don't be a good guy. Don't be a good guy." Right? Based on this Gemara, right? Amar Yitzchak, Akurim. Why were the others all akurim? Because Hashem wants the tefilos of tzadikim, so He made them akurim, right? So that's so why
was that a yawn in the background or a perfectly timed kvetch?
Yes, it's a kvetch. Yeah, Naftali, it's a kvetch. Yeah, I'm just happy to hear Naftali kvetch. It means he's listening.
There's a morale that says that it wanted them to be Karim because that they should be coming out of something totally different with no DNA, with from Terach or from any of those people, that they're starting from fresh.
Taka? Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. I hear.
I have it to the Haggadah also. That's why we start from Terach, to show that there was that cutoff.
Very good. I hear.
To what?
From Terach. The Haggadah only starts from Terach because that's where it stopped, and they're considered new. I had a different lumdus. When I had a Rebbe in 6th grade who taught us he decided that was his thing. One day he would teach the 6th grade boys the birds and the bees, right? And where children come from. Yeah, 6th grade, Darchei Torah. Yeah. So, and I came out of that class and I slugged them up. I said, what, the others couldn't figure this out to have kids? Right? You can't. A great lamdan that I am.
That was your first suspension, Ziago?
I didn't ask him in class. It was afterwards. I slugged him up. By recess, you slug up the Rebbe. So I slugged up the Rebbe. But anyway. Anyway, okay, right. What's a better teretz then? It would have been a better teretz, but okay, Sean. Anyways, I'm not saying the brightest bulb in the chandelier. Fine. So Amar of Yitzchak. Yeah, lama nimshala tefilos and tzadikim ka'asar. This we already had. I don't remember what we had it, but we had it. What is it? A mashal of tefillah of tzadikim look like an asar, like a fork. Ma says a plow. Rashi says, right? But it's just like this is also wild Gemara. Just like the tefilos of a. Just like the fork, the pitchfork, or the hoe.
The pitchfork. Yeah.
Or the plow turns over the tool from place to place. That means the Hashem would have been punished, but would have punished whatever. And the Chachamim, the Tzadik's tefilos, mamish make Hashem change his mind. Right?
It's a Gemara brachas, no?
I don't know, it was in brachas. I think it was something.
Yes.
I don't know. Whatever it was.
Or Shimon, someone
It's
else.
the famous price of Rishmal Kohen Gadol.
Right, no, it's a song. It's a
It's
Avrohom song.
Sukkah. It's in Sukkah.
No, it's an Avrohom song.
That's yeah, but that's not. That's where he's davening to him. Doesn't
He
say
should switch seats.
what. I understand, but that's when he went from Midas Adin to Midas Aracham.
Right.
There's the concept of Hashem being a Midas Adin Midas Aracham. It's fine. Here the Gemara is changing, saying that they change the Midas of Hashem. Right? The tzadikim have the ability to change the Midas of Hashem, which fits with the Gemara that we said 2 days ago that Moshe Rabbeinu made up his own halachas and Hashem agreed with him. Right? It means that there is some sort of power to tzadikim. Yeah, fine. Amar Rav Ami, Avram v'Sara tumtim in hayu. Yeah, Avram and Sarah were tumtimim. Tumtimim meaning they had no, what do you call it? They had no genitals, right? That would be the word. Yeah, they didn't have any simanim.
That's not how we learned tumtum. We learned it's covered up.
Okay, I'm saying so. It's under, but it meaning on the surface, there's nothing there.
Yeah,
no external genitals.
Yeah, no external. Right? Yeah. Shenemar habitu el tzur chutzavchem ve'al makeves bor nukarchem. I don't know why. I think that's a song.
Why didn't they operate on them? No.
Oh, so basically, what the pasuk says is that's what happened. It seems like the pasuk is saying that they did some sort of operation.
How do you have a bris?
Oh, how do you know? Mastama the bris came
How
after.
do you have a bris?
Mastama came after.
Yeah.
I might have figured it out after 100 years that they could do a surgery.
Maybe. Yeah. So
he had his bris after Yishmael was born.
Well, this
But
had
they
to be
told
before he had the
They did the
kids.
surgery before. How did he father Yishmael?
That's a good question, but the tzivui came after.
Evidently, they did something. They
That's
had
right.
an
They must have
operation.
figured it out. They must have figured it out before.
Oh, the operation was before the tzivui.
It has to be. And then 1 second. And then you have to say that they tried for 10 years.
Baron, we're not at recess yet. You can't slug up Gershon. You got to wait for the recess to slug him up on how he had your shmuel.
Baruch Hashem, Gershon is not my Rebbe.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Baruch Hashem, I'm not.
Okay, see, we agree on
No,
something.
but you have to say, don't you have to say that he cleared up for 10 years? Otherwise, what's the 10 years from Avram? Right? It has to be that it had the
Still doesn't
Simonim.
really fit.
I don't know.
The
I don't know
tefillah was
what
at 70. The operation was 70. Waited 80. Sorry, 80. Waited 10 years. He had Yishmael when he was 90.
Right. That's what you have to say.
But he didn't. He had Yishmael when he was 86. Hence, when the Tziboy of the
Right.
Mila,
So 13 was
Yishmael was-
90. Right. That he said.
Okay, so we said Mishna Kishana, so it's close enough.
I don't know. I don't know how to work all these numbers. Either way, Habitu el Tzur. So it means look at the Tzur as a rock, which was their tools back then, right? Chutzavchem, from where you were, how do you call chutzavchem? Meaning where you were formed, right? Vel makeves bor lukarchem, and the hollow, nekeva, from the word nekeva of a bar lukarchem, you were dug out, right? So one is referring to being formed, the aver being formed, and the other one is for the nekeva to be formed. Uksiv Habitu el Avraham avichem vel Sarah tzichalalchem. Look at Avram, your father, and Sarah, who gave birth to you. This is talking about a pasuk in Yeshaya, where Yeshaya was trying to give hope to the people that there was yet going to be it's going to be rebuilt. And he said, look at Avram and Sarah, who l'chayra seemingly didn't have any simanim whatsoever, so they couldn't have kids, and then it became a nace that they had kids. Fine. Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rav Baravua, Sari Meinu Ailonis Haisa. Sari Meinu was an Ailonis.
What's an
What?
What's an Ailonis?
She never matured.
She could be both, or it's one.
No, I think they're going to disagree with each other. Unless I guess you could be an Ailonis on top of a tumtum, maybe. I don't know. Shanema Vati Sari Akara Ein Lavlad. Sari was an Akara, and she had no kids. Afilu base vlad Ein La. He's dashing it. She didn't even have a base vlad, meaning she had no uterus. Fine. Amar Rav Yehuda Breder of Shmuel Bashelis Neshmei Derav. Lo Shanu Ela B'Doros Rishonim. This is only talking about in the early generation. Should I say in Merubos, where they lived for a very long time, right? Meaning, back then, I don't know how old is Avram Avinu in whatever it was, 175, right?
Yeah.
And Yitzchak, whatever the ages were. But in the later generations, when we lived for much shorter, 2.5 years, which is 3 pregnancies, right? 9, 18, 27, plus a month for each. That makes you wait 2.5 years, and then you can already get divorced. Rabba Rav Nachman Shalish Shanim Keneged Shalish Bekidas. I can't say understand this either. You wait 3 years for which is opposite the three times that people will remember in Rosh Hashanah to have children. Damar Mar, Rosh Hashanah Nifkedu Sarah, Rachel, and Chana. Okay, so therefore you should wait 3 years. What does that have to do? Because 3 women were answered on Rosh Hashanah. What does that have to do? 3 years. Okay, I don't know. I'm not sure I understand that.
Maybe if you have the mazel of one or the other, I don't know.
So Omar Rabba, let's do lahani klali. We don't have these rules. We don't do the 2.5 year thing like the Gemara just said. Why? Michti, Masnisan Man Tokin. Who was Masak in the Mishnah? Rebbe. But we made David in Matshani. But in the days of David already, the people's years were less. He was saying 70 years. So people's lives were already much shorter in the days of Rebbe for sure. Right? And Tosi says it's really referring to by Moshe to 70 years. Whatever it is, the years were much shorter already by the time the Mishnayos came along, and yet the Mishnayos says 10 years. So you can't say 2.5 years. Now, just to bring this down to the practical, nowadays, so the Chazon Ish had said wait 5 years before doing any sort of infertility treatments. It's quoted from the Chazon Ish that you wait 5 years before any sort of thing. But nowadays, the couples, where everything is on a much faster track. So okay, we have to deal with the dairis as they come, and each dar, the rabbanim of the dar have to figure out exactly how it should be. I heard from Reb Chaim Cohn. You know Reb Chaim Cohn, the big paisik from the Gerer paisik from Flatbush, right? So Hugrada never had kids. So he said in the old days when all these treatments came out, he says everybody answered it. Everybody, all the paiskim answered these treatments. Right, Ramosha matter with the guy. He says, and now this is what we do. He says because if different dairis, it has to be that certain dairis just need, even though you may come out lahalacha this, but dairis need certain yeshuas, and that's what we go with. We go with it, even though previous dairis may not have been.
Why do you have to wait 5 years? Where
was the Chazon Ish coming from with the 5 years?
Yeah, with Puravu. Puravu is from the beginning, no?
It is, but I'm saying you have to give time for nature to take its course.
So the Gemara says 9 months, 18, 20. So
no, Gemara says 10 years. I mean, the Gemara says 10 years for divorce.
10 years for divorce, but I'm saying,
right, but divorce means because that's the only tool they had back then. The only tool they had back then was to marry somebody else.
I said the Chazon Ish is 5 years.
Chazon Ish, I don't know where he got the 5 years from, but we certainly don't do 5 years now. Certainly don't do 5 years.
What does it mean that you have this diary? You have to.
I'm just quoting Reb Chaim Cohn what he said. He's saying that because the dairis now, the dairis work 6 months already, and the couples are going crazy. Nowadays it's 6 months and they're already going crazy. And yeah, whatever it is, I can't blame them. But that's the way it is. So that we've adjusted it down. In the old days, you go to a Rav after 6 months, he throw you out of the house and say, come back in a few years. That's the way it was.
What about why can't the person start doing these things to be Mekayim Puru?
And a chanami, there's nothing wrong with this. Okay, some might say ashkafically it is. Hashem is running the world. Okay, it's a whole diyun. It's a whole diyun. But the Maisa nowadays, with the technologies that we have, and a chanami, it seems like what you're saying is 100% right. We start going with these things much earlier. Yeah. Baruch Hashem, they're successful. Almost every couple ends up having, some more difficulty than others, but almost everyone ends up having a child. Bez Hashem, everybody should have the Yeshuas. Okay, so let's see weiter. So so now we get, so till now we were discussing, like, it always seems like she's the issue, right? So now, because we said maybe he doesn't have the schus that to have a baby from her. Right? Why are we saying that he didn't have the schus to get married? Meaning, it sounds like meaning that she's the problem, but he is the one that deserves the punishment. Maybe she deserves the punishment that she shouldn't. Maybe that she didn't have the schus. So let me answer. No, since this is hashkafically, you can go to town on this one, right? This is mamash. You can talk about this for hours. Since she doesn't have a mitzvah pruruvu, which we'll see at tomorrow's daf, that can't possibly be a punishment for a woman. Can't possibly be a punishment for a woman from Hashem if she doesn't have a mitzvah. Okay, and what about that a woman wants to have a child? Right? Why is that not a punishment? Right? So it is, but it seems like you can't call it that it's hard to understand, but it can't, if she doesn't have a mitzvah with it, the bottom line is mitzvahs take priority. If it's not her mitzvah, then it can't possibly be the Rebbeinu Shalom, let's say Kavayachol, punishing her because of this. Okay, you can't say that. I don't know if it's Mida Keneged Mida. It doesn't say anything about that. It's just whatever the Gemara was saying originally, he didn't have the schus to have a child with this woman, right? So why don't we say that maybe she didn't have the schus? We say, no, it can't be that there's any issue with her schusim because she doesn't have a mitzvah puravu. So it can't possibly be something like that. Okay, I can't say I understand what this means. So Gemara says, Aini, it's not
It
true.
also seems like the Gemara is differentiating between a tzadik and a regular person. More right at the bottom of Amud Aleph said it happens because the Kodesh Baruch Hu wants to hear the tefilos of Tzadikim. Here we're calling it an Ailonis.
Right, so he's saying it's a shtickle of stira.
Yeah, unless you say that there's A, a difference, and B, the Ailonis, now this kind of thing, it's an Ailonis, and therefore it has to be that he's the issue.
Right, I hear. Okay, I don't know. Okay, so let's see. They're saying it's not true, because who says he's going to have a kid with? I mean, the Gemara's assumption is that he's going to have a kid with the next wife. It's not true. He says, go marry a woman and have kids. Right? So we had this one already before, not with the Rav Sheshes, but it was with Rav Sheshes. If I would have been Zaycha, I would have had with the first wife. Meaning, so Rav Zavda is saying, I wasn't Zaycha to have kids for whatever reason with the first wife. I'm not going to be Zaycha to have kids with the second wife either. So why is the Mishna saying that you should go marry a second wife? So the Gemara says, no, he was just pushing off the Rabbanon. Why? The Rav Bar Zavda, he became also an akar. He became sterile because of Rav Huna's long shiurim that they had to hold it in, and it killed them. Not killed them, it killed their zera. Rav Gidel, Rav Huna, Rav Chelba, Rav Huna, Rav Sheshes, Rav Huna. So all these Gedalim became sterile because of Rav Huna's long shiurim, whatever that means. Right? We said the other day that seemingly it means like they just lost themselves because it's also they should have to get up. right? They just got so distracted that they didn't realize what was happening to them, which is mashma a little bit in the next Gemara. Let's see. Rav Acha bar Yaakov.
They got
Achad
distracted or they couldn't get up in front of the Rebbe?
I don't know. I'm sure there's pshatim that say they couldn't get up in front of the Rebbe either, but l'chayra, it's an essay would be, I don't know. L'chayra, yeah, ich weiß nicht. Maybe they should have gone to the bathroom right there, too.
Or
Right?
beforehand?
No, I'm saying even during. It says you can go to the bathroom in the street if you really have to go. That's how, if it's dangerous. Where's that Gemara? Somewhere. I don't know. Fine. Rav Acha bar Yaakov achadete how you pronounce suchkinta, right? Some sort of suchkinta, which is this disease that these gedolim had. These amirim. So tluya ba'arza de beirav. Right. So what he did, I can't understand this Gemara. They hung him from the beam that was in the bismedish. The nafik mine kohutza yarka. What came out of him was some sort of green goo came out of him, and that was I don't know if it was the pus or that was the infection that was causing him to have the problem. So they hung him up in bismedish, and it leaked out of him, and then he got better. Okay. I don't know. Amar Rav Acha bar Yaakov, Shisin Sabe Havina. There were 60 older, Chachamim. The Kulu Yaakov Ripirkid Ravuna the Bar Me'ana, and they all became sterile except for me. The Kaim ben Afshai, because I was Mekayim myself. HaChachma Tichaya Ba'aleh. Chachma can make the life of its owner have life. Meaning, so I guess he chapped that this was going to be a problem, and he did something about it, right? Right, because that's Rav Acha bar Yaakov. So what must he have done? Like the Gemara said before, he must have hung himself up and let it leak out of him, right? L'chayra, that's what he did. Why not?
This was two different things. The suskinta was an infection, whatever that was. That was nothing to do with the shear. He says because of the shear, he did something. I would imagine he saw everyone else it happened to.
No, I think it's the same Rav Acha bar Yaakov. So that means what? You tell me he had two different diseases?
But one wasn't a disease. One was a disease, and one was a natural reaction.
I don't know. It's some. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Whatever it is, that's fine. Should we stop here? I know. Okay, let's go a little weiter. But okay, Gershom Mutar. Tomorrow's daf is relatively small. Oh, it's late already. I don't want to keep. We've been on for a while. It's a. Here it is. I made the daf early so I can get the 9:30 Meyer of the Vaila. I've been missing it every night. So that's not good.
Here, like you said, that he had others to
Yeah,
spend.
probably got it. Okay, we'll stop here. We'll take it up tomorrow night.
Jack, we'll go back to 8:45 then.
I know, that's what I'm saying. If anything, that would be work better for me. Okay, we'll see.
Marriage at 8:40, and then you could do it. Start at 5 to 9, and you have Marriage.
What?
Do 8:40 Marriage and then start.
No, it's too late. Can't start to the Ailonis. Whatever, we'll keep it at 8:35. We'll see how it goes. These are long blocks, these last couple of days. Very long block.
And there's a lot going on in there.
Yeah, Jack, you don't say.
Yeah, there's a lot. Heavy duty. What?
You don't say.
Go
Yeah,
put
these
some
are heavy
Saras in
blocks.
there, and we can finish it a lot quicker.
Yeah.
That's yeah. And you see, you know, we can't win. You can't win, right? All right.
We have the virtual minion right here.
Oh, you got the virtual minion there.
There you go.
There you go. We should all dive in together at the same time. We have a minion on Zoom.
Oh,
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway. All right.
All right, you better take it easy there, man. You got to fit in the gown soon. Take it easy there, parents.
I'm chazering over yesterday's block. I need popcorn.
and bourbon.
Hey.
A lot of
Parents not drinking bourbon. I can promise you that.
I did put a mechutin. Mechutin asked me to try some.
Really? Look at you.
Look at that. What a man wouldn't do for peace.
Yeah. What do you ask you to try?
Bourbon.
You meant which one?
Wild Turkey 60th edition. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Not even a great one. It hasn't
night,
flown off the
everybody.
bottle yet.
Sei gesund.
Good night.
All right.